Welcome to this YouTube channel. In this video we are going to talk about the top 10 facts about Ardashir I. So before starting this video, like this video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future updates. The lord of the Sasanian Empire, Ardashir I or Ardashir I, 180 to 242 AD, was also known as Ardashir the Unifier. Before he established the new kingdom, he was also Ardashir V of the Kings of Persis. He overthrew the Parthian dynasty and founded the Sasanian dynasty, after crushing the final Parthian shahanshah Artabanus IV on the Hormozdgan plain in 224. Ardashir then renamed himself shahanshah and started conquering the land he dubbed Iran. Here are 10 things you should know about him. Number 10. Ardashir was born on the outskirts of Istakhr, Pars, according to Tabari's report. Tabari goes on to say that when Ardashir was 7 years old, he was sent to the lord of Fort Darabgard. Ardashir succeeded the lord and became the commander of Fort Darabgard after the lord's death. According to Tabari, Papak then overthrew the local Persian Shah, Gotchi, and replaced him with his uncle, Shapur. Shapur and his aunt, Papak, died unexpectedly. According to Tabari's report, Ardashir ascended to the throne of Pars. Tensions between Ardashir and the Parthian Empire grew, and on April 28, 224, Ardashir met Artabanus V's army in the Hormozdgan plain, where Artabanus, the Parthian shahanshah, was killed. Number 9. Ardashir played a pivotal role in the creation of the royal philosophy. He attempted to portray himself as a Mazda worshipper who was bound to God and possessed Kavarina. The claim to the legitimacy of his reign, as a rightful newcomer from the line of the mythical Iranian Shahs, as well as the propagations attributed to Ardashir against the legitimacy and position of the Parthians in the Iranian history series, demonstrate the importance of the Achaemenid legacy in the minds of the first Sasanian shahanshahs. Despite current belief that the Sasanian shahanshahs did not know anything about the Parthians, some scholars claim, on the other hand, that the first Sasanian shahanshahs were acquainted with the Achaemenids, and that their succeeding shahanshahs purposefully turned to the Kayanians. They purposefully neglected the Achaemenids in order to blame their past on the Kayanians, and it was here that they employed sacred historiography. Number 8. Ardashir carved petroglyphs in Firuzabad, the city of Ghor or Ardashir Quara, Nakish-e-Rajab, and Nakish-e-Rustam to commemorate his victories. Ardashir and Ahura Mazda are shown on horseback, opposite each other in his petroglyph in Nakish-e-Rustam, with the bodies of Artabanus and Ahriman visible under the hooves of Ardashir and Ahura Mazda's horses. The picture suggests that Ardashir believed, or intended for some to believe, that the Lord had designated his reign over the land known as Iran in the inscriptions. Previously, the term Iran was used in Avesta, as the name of the legendary land of the Aryans. The name Iran was given to the region under Sasanian rule during Ardashir's reign. The concept of Iran was embraced in the empire by both Zoroastrians and non-Zoroastrians, and the Iranians' collective memory survived and existed on in numerous stages and levels of Iranian culture until the modern day. What is evident is that the idea of Iran had a religious and racial connotation, before being transformed into a political entity and a territorial array of lands. Number 7. Ardashir's ancestry and descent have been the subject of many historical accounts. Ardashir was the son of Papak, the son of Sasan, according to Tabari's report. Ardashir was born as a result of the marriage of Sasan, a descendant of Darius III, and the daughter of Papak, a local governor in the province of Pars, according to another assertion found in Kar-Nameg I Ardashir I Babakan, and told in the same way by Ferdowsi in his Shahnameh. Ardashir is described as a Papakan king with a paternal line from Sasan and a maternal line from Darius III in the Kar-Nameg I Ardashir I Babakan, which was written after him. Darai intends to conclude that it can be deduced from that line in the text, that Ardashir has asserted his ancestry to whomever he may. Connecting Ardashir to the mythical Kayanians with the pseudonym K, as well as connecting him to Sasan, a protector and enigmatic god, and Dara, which is a fusion of Darius I and II the Achaemenid with local Persian Shahs Dara I and II, demonstrates the former's fictitious ancestry. Since Ardashir named Sasan as his royal ancestor, it's crucial to figure out who Sasan was. The epigraphic type SSN on potterywares and other documents was first proposed, implying that Sasan was a Zoroastrian god, despite the fact that he is not mentioned in the Avesta or other ancient Iranian texts. Martin Schwartz recently demonstrated that the deity depicted on the potterywares is not related to Sasan, but rather represents SSN, an ancient Semitic goddess worshipped in Ugarit during the 2nd millennium BC on coins discovered in Taxila. The term Sasa is written It is likely to be related to Sasan, as the symbols on the listed coins are identical to those on Shapur I's coins. Number 6. Most international sources agree that Ardashir has an obscure lineage. For example, Agathias claims that Papak was a shoemaker who discovered by astronomic proofs that Sasan would have a great son. As a result, Papak allowed Sasan to sleep with the latter's wife, and the result was Ardashir. Shaki thought Agathias's narrative was a worthless and vulgar tale written by the well-known Sergius, the Surianian interpreter of Khosrow I's court, and commissioned by Sasanian opponents and foes. Sergius the Christian, Shaki said, had clearly provoked Agathias to say the nonsense. As if he had cleared Ardashir's family tree, which had been adapted from Christian and materialist and secular imaginations. Shaki's argument is founded on the existing marital tradition, that a woman's children from a second marriage, after divorcing her first spouse, will be her first spouse's children. Sasan is only mentioned as a nobleman in Shapur I's 3 language, inscription on Kabar-yi Zartosh in Nakish-e Rustam, and Papak is only mentioned as a ruler. Number 5. By the 3rd century AD, Iran, the state, where the campaign to create the new Sasanian government started, had faded from prominence. Since ancient times, a modern city known as Istakhr has sprung up next to the remains of Takht-e-Jamshid, an Achaemenid capital that was destroyed by Alexander the Great of Macedonia's forces. While the land's local shahs chose famous Achaemenid names, like Dara, Darius, and Ardashir to keep old practices alive, that was nearly the only surviving example of the ancient magnificence and greatness. The provincial governors of Pars, who believed themselves to be the legitimate descendants of the Achaemenids, had acknowledged submission to the Parthians during the latter's 4.5-century reign, and had been waiting for an opportunity to reclaim the Achaemenid throne. They regarded the Parthians as primordial usurpers who had usurped the former's rights by intimidation. Number 4. Papak, dressed as a priest, squeezes the hilt of his sword with one hand and manipulates the fire of the hearth, and adds more firewood to it with the other, while his son Shapur takes the royal ring from him in a portrait carved on Takht-e-Jamshid. The Parthian emperor is granting the royal medal to local shahs, in other pictures of granting the royal medal during the time, such as the picture of granting the medal to Quisak, the mayor of Susa, which was discovered there, and the picture of granting the medal to the governor of Elamis, which was discovered in Bardnashande, while in the described picture of Papak and his son Shapur in Takht-e-Jamshid. Number 3. Later, Vologases went to Nuzibin and laid siege to it, but was forced to abandon the siege due to Roman reinforcements, and the city remained unconquered. Following that, Severus began marching into the Euphrates and south, conquering Seleucia and Babylon without opposition, though the Romans fought back hard in late 198 after the fall of Ctesiphon. The Romans, on the other hand, were unable to retain the conquered regions, and were forced to withdraw due to a shortage of supplies. Number 2. Artabanus is thought to have had control of the city, according to an inscription found in Susa. Vologases VI's coins discovered in Seleucia, for example, demonstrate his dominance over the territory. After his father, Septimius Severus, died, Caracalla rose to prominence in Rome. Despite the lack of knowledge about the contest between Artabanus and Vologases, Latin sources say that Caracalla paid particular attention to the Parthians' internal conflict, and announced the disruption of their position to the Roman Senate. Knowledge of the Parthian Empire's civil war may have inspired Caracalla's idea of a military invasion, and propelled him to greater victories than his father, Septimius Severus, in combating the Parthians. Number 1. Ardashir played a significant role in the creation of royal philosophy. He made an attempt to identify himself as a Mazda worshipper who was connected to God and the owner of divine Kavarina. The claim of his royal eligibility as a rightful newcomer from a line of mythical Iranian shahs, as well as the propagations attributed to Ardashir against the eligibility and position of the Parthians in the Iranian history series, confirm the excellent place that the Achaemenid legacy had in the minds of the first Sasanian shahanshahs, though the consensus is that the Sasanian shahanshahs probably did not know what the Parthian Shabazi, on the other hand, believes that the first Sasanian shahanshahs were acquainted with the Achaemenids, and that their successors purposefully turned to the Kayanians. About that, Dari adds that the Sasanians knowingly ignored the Achaemenids in order to be able to attribute their origins to the Kayanians, and that is why they applied the holy historiography. What do you think about this video? Do let us know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.